My son was recruited by Far Eastern University to play uh, in the UAAP. And of course, you know me, I'm a frustrated basketball player, so I was dreaming my dreams with my kids. And so we sent him to FEU. But things didn't turn out really well with him because what had happened was he had gotten sick because he was playing with Team A and he was playing with Team B at the same time. And he was living in Marikina, so you could just imagine the travel time and the travel time going to FEU and the travel time going back to Marikina. And one time, he met a group of young men who wanted to steal his backpack. And he was actually holding on to the coins. Kay gamay ng insensiyo niya, plate niya handa, padulong sa Marikina. So he was already in Cubao. When they wanted to steal his bag, so there was a fight. And so he fought and he was able to get his bag and he started to run. And he ran and he went into the, I think, MRT station where there was a policeman. And so eventually those guys left him. But the sad thing was he threw away all his coins. So he no longer had the money to be able to ride a jeep. So he walked all the way from Cubao all the way to Marikina, Provident Village. It was raining and he got sick. And he got sick for several weeks. And because of that, the school was about to drop him. And not only that, he had really lost weight. He was very sickly. So at that time, I told him, I think it's not God's will for you to be there. Come home, I said. So my friend, Coach Koy Badan, told me, give me another chance. Let him stay pa. I want to train him some more. I said, Koy, I think the Lord has really spoken to us. I think it's not God's will for him to be with you. And I'm just calling him back home. And I'm very thankful to God that happened. Why? Because I think it eventually led him to really be converted. Because he was not yet converted when he was in FEU. But when he came back, my wife, left a book, Desiring God. And that's when he really became born again. And that is why I'm just saying that when it comes to the decisions you have to make with your children, be prayerful. Be prayerful. Because I have seen some parents who have done the same thing as myself, and their children right now, they're not in the Lord. And I find that rather unfortunate. I think sometimes we release our children when they're not ready. And we just have to make sure that they're ready and they're responsible. And if they are, then fine. And if it's God's will, then fine. They will blossom, they will grow, they will mature. And if ever, however, that happens, make sure that they're in church. Make sure they're in church. Because if they're not in church, then you have a big problem when they come back. Alright? Number 10. Do not compare your child with others, most especially his or her siblings. Here's a general principle from the scriptures, which again we can apply to our family. Galatians 6 verse 4, but each one must examine his own work, and then he will have reason for boasting in regard to himself alone and not in regard to another. In other words, no comparisons. Be mindful of yourself, but not of others. 2 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 12, for we are not bold to class or compare ourselves with some of those who commend themselves, but when they measure themselves by themselves and compare themselves with themselves, they are without understanding. But we will not boast beyond our measure, but within the measure of the sphere which God apportioned to us as a measure to reach even as far as you. So in the Christian life, we're not supposed to compare one another. We're not supposed to critique one another, but rather we are to serve God with a clean conscience, and our focus should not be others, because we're not in competition with our fellow brothers and sisters, but rather we should fix our eyes on the Lord Jesus Christ and do whatever is the will of God for us. Having said that, that also applies when it comes to our children. We are not to compare our children with one another. They have different gifts. I mean, when I compare, for example, my two kids, even when my two sons, even when I see them in the basketball court, they have different gifts when it comes to basketball. My son AJ, he's a pure point guard. And by pure point guard, he is looking to make his teammates better. All right? And so that's him. That's his personality. He finds joy in making others look better. My other son, DJ, is he's a shooting guard. In other words, he's not looking for his teammates. He's looking for the ring. That's why when we were playing together, when we were having competition, I would be dribbling the ball, and I would just dribble twice already. He would call out to me, say, "D." I wanted the ball immediately. And I was enjoying dribbling the ball, and he wanted it already. Why? Because he wanted, that's his joy. His joy is seeing the ball inside the ring and inside the net. And so they have different gifts. And I cannot compare them. I mean, they play differently. And that is why you have to be very careful when you're comparing your children. I mean, don't say, "Maayo bang imong kuya, bright kayo, ikaw bobo kayo." Ako lang sa tanan.
Don't compare yourself compared to other.
Okay mo, liwat mo. Be careful. Don't compare. Number 11, communicate a positive outlook. Do not communicate by word or action that you have quit on your child and are resigned to his being a failure. 1 Corinthians 13:7. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Don't ever tell your children, "Wala kay panglao."
Don't tell your children you don't have hope.
Puro doy good ka. Tibiyong kinabuhinin mo. Wala agad kay paglaho. Sigurado yun.
Palpak for whole your life.
Wala kay future.
Don't have future. You don't tell that.
When you say that, when you make declarations like that,
Don't make declarations
what do you
for
think
them.
you're doing with your children? You are really trying to form their minds into a mindset, into a psyche wherein they're thinking, "I'm a failure. I will never succeed. I will never do anything right. I am incorrigible." Don't do that. Always provide hope for your children. When they make mistakes, and by the way, parents, your children will make mistakes. Let them make mistakes. The important thing is to correct them when they make mistakes. Don't make a final sentence on them to say that they will forever be failures. When you do that, you have practically destroyed the mindset of your children. Number 12, ask advice from your children. Include them in some of the discussions about family activities. Here's a principle. Notice Paul. Paul wanted to go to Rome because he had not yet been to Rome. and he wanted to be a blessing to them. But notice the humility of Paul. He says, "For I long to see you so that I may impart some spiritual gift to you, that you may be established." That is, watch this, "that I may be encouraged together with you, while among you, each of us by the other's faith, both yours and mine." Notice the humility. The humility of Paul was this: I want to bless you. God has gifted me with certain things. God has gifted me with wisdom. I'd like to be able to share that with you. But you know what? I think you can make a contribution to me as well. So I'm going to go to you, not only to bless you, but because I want to be blessed as well. Now that needs to be the kind of attitude we have to have with our children. We need to make them feel that they're important enough to make significant contributions or even decisions when it comes to family activities. So listen to them. My daughter, Hannah, for example, we always listen to her, most especially when it comes to certain things. She's probably the most traveled of my children. And normally we ask her advice about certain things, and she's able to give us wise advice. And my wife and I, we feel very secure when we are with her because she knows a lot of things. And the same thing, obviously, with my two sons. There are certain things that they know in ministry, for example, when it comes to discipleship. I think my son DJ has done a tremendous job when it comes to discipleship. And so my wife and I, we get ideas from him. When it comes to biblical counseling, my son AJ would know a lot of things when it comes to counseling. And so we try to learn from them. We try to get inputs from them. In fact, my books, my son AJ made significant contributions by doing research for me. So yes, let them make contributions. Number